Hi, everybody. It's Kelly Caleb. Hi. With my awesome friend, Nicole Locklear.
Hi,
Welcome, Nicole.
I'm so glad to be here. Thanks.
Nicole is a licensed clinical social worker, licensed in Florida and North Carolina.
Mhm.
She lives in North Carolina and she is recently vaccinated, so she is now seeing people in person in her
Very
Asheville,
exciting.
North Carolina office, as well as by telehealth for people that aren't comfortable coming into the office yet. She sees people virtually in Florida. She is certified in ART Basic, Enhanced, and Advanced. So she's got a lot of different skill sets. And we're just going to talk a little bit about her. I've known her for years since we were both in graduate school together, and she's a fabulous therapist with a lot to bring to the table and to her clientele. So I just want her to tell us a little bit about what she does and how that can benefit people. So tell me a little bit about your therapy style.
Um, my therapy style is very laid back. I never tell clients what to do. I try to provide maps for them and guide them. I think I said on my webpage, I'm like a Sherpa. I want to help you get up the mountain. I'm going to show you the path, but you have to walk the path. But I am very laid back. A lot of people have called me the cussing therapist because I do allow cussing in my sessions. I'm not so
Yay.
prim and proper that I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, I'm very laid back. I'm very easy. I'm very personable. I want to meet the client where they're at.
I love it. What are some of the most common things that clients have when they come to see you for concerns or issues?
Recently, it's been a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. There are a number of issues that are going on, obviously, with the pandemic that are related to financial relationships, just anxiety about not being able to see people the way that they used to see people, a lot of loneliness and isolation that comes in. So we try to work out ways that people can get together with other people, FaceTiming like you and I do,
Right.
or other things that will help them feel a little bit better, coping skills to deal with anxiety and stress, how to manage. Sometimes we do coaching on financial stuff. Sometimes I'll refer them out for stuff like that.
Okay. Well, let me just ask you, since you brought up stress, what do you recommend for stress?
So, stress is one of those really sneaky things. We live in a society that kind of idolizes stress. They kind of say, work really hard and you'll get everything you want. And so we tend to go up all the way to the wall. We're going 90 to nothing all the time. We tend to neglect things like how important sleep is.
Hmm.
Getting a good night's sleep hygiene is what we call it, and it's incredibly important. Eating balanced diet, not eating fast food all the time is incredibly important. Getting outside and getting some sunshine, whether you're exercising or not, being outside and getting in touch is really, really important for reducing stress. I tell people all the time, if you're at your computer and you're working, for every hour that you work, get outside for 15 minutes. Get up from your computer and away from it for 15 minutes. That's all that it takes. If you do that every single day, it will reduce your stress. One of the problems that we find is that there's a stress chemical called cortisol. And when we're working the way that we're working, especially those of us who are working from home and we're not really paying attention to the amount of time that we're spending on computers, on the things that we're doing, we're like, oh, I'm home, whatever, I'll work on it all day long. Our cortisol levels go up. And cortisol is a stress hormone. And so you find that with the cortisol rising, rising, and rising, you get less sleep. You start to gain a little bit of weight. You start to feel more sluggish and uneasy, and the stress doesn't come back down. Eventually, you're going to cap that ceiling on the cortisol. These things do help bring it back down. Sleep is vital. Having a decent diet is vital. Getting outside and breathing air and getting away from the stress is vital. Some people do yoga, some people do meditation. I just prefer to take a walk and be very mindful of the birds singing and the things around me, the wind going through the trees. That's my meditation. I find that it doesn't always have to be sitting in one place and clearing your mind. That's very difficult for me. I know that you practice yoga and are very good at it and very good at being mindful. My mindfulness comes in paying attention to the beautiful things around me rather than, oh my God, I have all these things to do. So that's what I recommend for stress.
Yes, I think you have perjured yourself by saying that I'm very good at yoga. I enjoy it. I wouldn't say that I'm very good at it, but I do love what you shared about cortisol. I found something very interesting out, and that is that um, one of the things that I discovered is that our skin, obviously, our skin is photosensitive, and we don't always think about that.
Mhm.
But what happens is with all the lights that we have on all the time, lights trigger our cortisol.
I did not know
At
that.
the end of the day, when the sun goes down, if you're outside when the sun sets, it signals your melatonin to produce. And then in the morning, when the sun rises and your skin recognizes the light, it
Mhm.
signals the cortisol to kick in to wake you up. And I just found that out. And that's why the people that have like, there's apps that you can use that will change your computer light in the
Mhm.
evening to switch so
Mhm.
that your skin is sensitive and the melatonin will kick in. And people have some kind of those orange lenses that they can wear and things like that. And
Yeah.
I just found that out recently. I thought that was very fascinating. So I'm really glad that you shared about the cortisol.
Yeah, I actually have blue lenses on
Mm.
my glasses when I'm wearing my glasses, and I do wear my glasses most of the time for that same reason. The UV light that's coming off of the computer, if you have no filter for that at all, is going to keep your brain very busy, and it's going to continue to produce that cortisol. Yeah.
Yes, I'm really glad you brought that up. Tell me a little bit about what some of the counseling methods are that you use.
So I use cognitive behavioral therapy quite a good bit, which is a lot of us have that inner voice that its only job is to make you unhappy. That inner voice tells you lies about yourself. It will tell you horrible, awful things. And one of the things that we do with cognitive behavioral therapy is to go in and question those lies. We use what's called the Socratic questions. Um, okay, so give me the evidence for this thought. Now give me the evidence against this thought. And who first gave you this message? And is that a reliable person? We really want to pick apart the thought because that's the activation, right? And when you have the thought, you then change your behavior, which then changes the consequences or the outcome of what that whole experience is going to be like. Um, a lot of what I do is ask my clients to ask themselves the question, why not me? Right? Because they're why can't this thing happen for me? Why can't it? And I, well, why can't it happen for you?
I love that. I think
Right. Good.
that's really good. That's a
Um,
really good question to ask.
yeah, I also use a little bit of dialectical behavioral therapy where we're going to talk through its narrative. We're going to tell stories about our life and we're going to try to figure out where your trigger points are and how we can go in. Dialectical behavior therapy is a lot about mindfulness and paying attention. I use that a lot with cognitive behavioral also because we have to be very mindful of what our thoughts are. But dialectical is also, what are you feeling? What are the sensations in your body when you have that thought? And let's work through that. And finally, the modality that I've been using most often recently is called ART, or accelerated resolution therapy. And accelerated resolution therapy has been a real miracle worker for me.
I want you to talk a little bit more about that because we're both certified in ART. You have the enhanced and advanced.
Mhm.
Um, and I know that you've used it a lot. Tell me a little bit more about it, the benefits of it, as opposed to having to sit down and do talk therapy.
Okay. If a person has experienced trauma, sometimes talking about that trauma over and over and over again in trauma therapy or in regular talk therapy can be re traumatizing. You're reliving that moment over and over and over again without any kind of resolution.
Mhm.
ART allows us to use eye movements to remember the memory, have the knowledge of what happened, but then disconnect the emotional connection to it so that the things that triggered you before based on that memory are no longer triggering you. You're not experiencing it over and over again. The best thing about ART, though, is at the end of it, we change it. We are able to, the brain is amazing. The brain
Yes.
is able to imagine a new scenario. I had a client the other day who grew up with a lot of neglect. And one of the things that we did was take them to the parent store where they picked out new parents and they had a whole set of new memories and they left feeling really good about that whole situation in their life. It's really amazing the things that your brain can do. The resolution then comes to, I'm not feeling the connection and I've created a new memory which feels better. It isn't real, but the brain doesn't know that it isn't real. And we can work it like a dream state where anything you want is possible. If you want to become a superhero and go back in time and save that child that you were, if you want to fly to the moon, all of those things are possible because the brain believes in that dream state. And that's one of the really amazing things about that situation is not only are we identifying the problem, working through the sensation caused by that problem, but we get to resolve it.
I love that because, as you said, with trauma, people can just get stuck in it where it loops and loops. And I like to think of it as confusing the yell with the echo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the yell is over. That ended a long time ago. It's the echo that you're dealing with, and we can get rid of the echo.
Absolutely.
Get rid of that.
And there's so many people who don't know that this trauma or this thing that happened, it doesn't necessarily even have to be a trauma. It can be a thing that they still are triggered by. They often don't even remember that event until you get into doing the ART and they're like, oh my gosh, even before the thing that we're working on, this thing happened. And that's what I'm responding to now.
That's right. It's not really the fact that your friend showed up late for coffee. It's the fact that when you were a kid, people didn't show up repeatedly for whatever. It's, you know, but you didn't make that connection until you get into that.
Right.
And you can balance out the two sides of the brains with the eye movements. And I love that.
I love it.
I know you do some workshops too. Tell me about the workshops that you do.
So the workshops that I do are what's called safety workshops, and those are I have to read this. Sensation awareness focused techniques. So the sensation awareness focused techniques are for people who aren't licensed but are professionals. So we're talking EMTs, firefighters, police officers, any person who is in the mental health field but not yet licensed, emergency room nurses, especially important for COVID nurses right now. And it's a method that we're using to move sensations in patients or clients, however you want to word that.
Right.
It's using the same method as ART. We are using the hand movement to move the eyes back and forth, but we're recognizing only sensations. It's not actually a therapy that we do. We're recognizing where the sensations are, and we're allowing the brain through the eye movement to work out the sensation.
Yeah, it's calming the body.
Exactly right. And so let's say you have a very, a crisis going on. You can go to that person and say, listen, I'm trained in a technique that will help reduce your stress right now and help you calm down. Can I help you with this? Or are you open to this? And a lot of times they'll say yes. The eye movements are very, very calming. It's almost like being in REM sleep. But a lot of times you can turn that sensation, whatever it is, into a metaphor. What does that sensation look like to you in your mind? Okay, let's find a solution to getting through that metaphorical picture, whatever that is. And it is very calming for the patient.
I love that. I know I've used the ART to calm body sensations down a lot, especially for people that are doing exposure therapy.
Yes.
And so there's 3 ways. I tell people there's 3 ways to overcome anxiety: top down, bottom up, and side to side. So the ART and the safety, that's the side to side. Top down, that's that cognitive behavioral therapy where we're dealing with the thoughts that create the emotions and the physical response. And then the bottom up, which is calm the body down and you calm the mind, which is kind of what you get if you go for a long walk, or you get a massage and all of your cares melt away. It's like you calm the body, you're sending messages to the brain that there's nothing to be anxious or worried about right now. It's all just it's fine.
Right.
And so I love that you've got so many different methods.
One of the really beautiful things about ART also is that you can use it to calm the body. One of the frequent images that I have is you're standing under a waterfall. Imagine this sensation is being washed off of you, and people will visibly relax in the seat.
I love it. That is a great visual, because who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't love to just be under a nice relaxing waterfall and just have all that negativity wash away? Yes, sign me up for that one. Absolutely. Why do you think people should go to therapy?
I think everyone should go to therapy. Because we live in a really stressful world, and we live in a really polarized country right now. And I think that sometimes just having someone to go and talk to about the things that maybe you can't talk to your family about, or you can't talk to your loved one about, is helpful. Sometimes we are the shoulder that you cry on. Now, we also don't let you stay there, right? We're going to give you tools. And I think that that's the most important thing about therapy is it's not just walking in, shedding your tears and walking out. It's walking in, saying the things that you have to say, whether it's things that have happened in the past that are bothering you today, things that are bothering you today about your life, and walking out with a plan, walking out with tools to meet that plan. One of the things that I first do when I meet with my clients is to say, what are your long-term goals? And then with the client, because we're a team, I'm educated, but it's not my therapy, it's their therapy. So
Right.
with the client, we then begin to develop smaller objectives. All right, so we've got long-term goals. Let's make short-term goals, right? So from the short-term goals, we develop smaller objectives to reach the short-term goals. Once we've met the short-term goal and we meet and we talk about, has this been met? We then develop another short-term goal, which is closer to that long-term goal, and build objectives again. So you're never going to leave my office just going, well, that was kind of a waste of my money because all I did was sit there and talk.
Right.
I do give my clients homework. I do help them to build tools. I give them a lot of reading. Your books are fantastic, and I give them
Thank
to
you.
my clients who have children. I recommend your books all the time,
Thank
just to
you.
help them learn mindfulness and to calm and emotional regulation. So I think all of that is why people should go to therapy. I think people don't talk enough, and we're so ingrained that what's happened in the past should be left in the past, but that stuff keeps coming up. So
Yeah, I love it. I always tell people my job is to work myself out of a job with you and then go
absolutely.
help somebody else. Like,
Yes.
I don't want you, it would be like taking, going to see a mechanic every week and just crying that your tire went flat, and never actually fixing the tire. Like, that would be a
Right.
waste of your time.
Yes.
Come into therapy, tell me that your tire went flat. Let's figure out how to fix the tire and get you back on the road for life
Hmm.
so that you can keep going forward. And
Hmm.
thank you for recommending my books. Look at what I got. Hold on. I got this cute, squishy little llama
Oh
stressy that
my
some
gosh.
Paul Martin got this for me. If you guys don't know who Paul Martin is, he is one of my dear friends. He and his wife Liz have Operation Jack's Village, which is an organization for child and mental health awareness and suicide prevention. We just had
It's
a
a great
great
organization.
parade. It is. We had a parade yesterday for Old Smart Days, and it was fabulous. Lots of amazing kids came out. Um,
I loved
and
watching the tie-dye t-shirt event.
Oh, they're so cute. I
They
wasn't able
are.
to go to that because I was working. But
Yeah.
so here's my little llama, and now
I'll put
Cow's
them
in the
right there.
background back there. So yes, we always have that stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so our job is kind of strange because we're always trying to get out of our job
Hmm.
and get rid of our clients so that we can
Right.
help more people. But it's
Right.
it's kind of like an ER doctor, right? Like, they don't want you to stay in the ER. They want to help you get some tools, fix you up, and move you on your way. And that's the goal of therapy. Sometimes we do really well for a long time, and then we need to come back in and get like a tune up or a checkup or something new happens, because the one thing we know about life is that it never stays the same,
That's
right?
right. The only
Nothing.
guarantee is change.
Right. Nothing good is going to last forever. Nothing bad is going to last forever. And for me, that's the thing that I stress the most with people, is that if you're having a rough time, I want you to know that it's not going to last forever. It's going to stop. It's going to get better. I know you can't see it right now, but the last time something bad happened, you couldn't see it either until it was over and moved on with. And so, um, I just want to say, if anybody's watching this and you're in North Carolina or Florida virtually and you want an awesome therapist, check out Nicole. We're going to put all of her contact information underneath in the video, so that you guys can contact her, especially if you're in North Carolina. Um, and anything else that you want people to know? Anything else that we didn't mention?
The only other thing that I want people to know is that there's a really great organization called Lone Survivor, that I do ART with, and these are veterans with PTSD, and they have a retreat, and we will be doing that for 5 days. They do it every month. I'm doing it at least 4 times a year to help our vets out who have PTSD, trying to help them work through those symptoms. And so if anybody has a chance to go onto their website and check them out, I think it's a worthy organization.
Okay, so we will make sure to put that link in underneath as well, because as everybody knows, we support our vets. My son is a veteran. Hoorah, Semper Fi, you know, go Marines. And so we love our vets. We love all of our veterans and our active duty personnel. We love you guys. You're great. So awesome. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for coming and agreeing to be on my little YouTube channel. I really
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
it.
It has been wonderful to see you again.
Okay, I will see you later. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.